Today we investigate a Roblox criminal and interview one of his victims, a Roblox animation YouTuber who has posted multiple NSFW animations of people that are far too young and seems to be getting away with his horrific actions. Now if you don't already know, SD Animator is a 28-year-old Roblox animation YouTuber with over 400,000 subscribers and seems to post a lot considering what they have been doing behind the scenes, with allegations of making NSFW animations of multiple minors, lying to everyone, and even trying to get away with everything just like Podoma. Today we are exposing the truth, and we aren't going to let SD Animator get away with this disgusting behavior for any longer. But before we dive deeper, make sure to subscribe with notifications on to help me reach 50,000 subscribers and to never miss an upload on my channel ever again. This takes us to Nick Extras, otherwise known as Glimph, and used to be friends with the person we are exposing today. She is a YouTuber with over 50,000 subscribers and has finally came out and exposed SD Animator, which brings us to the 7th of April 2025. Nick Extras would upload a video to their channel titled "Breaking My Silence" and claiming to expose SD Animator. The video would start with detailing how exactly they would get into contact with each other in the first place.
But the situation has deteriorated to a point where I can no longer remain silent or ignore it. I searched YouTube to see if anyone had previously exposed you, but unfortunately, I found nothing. The reason for this will become clear if you watch this video until the end. Allow me to share my story. Back in 2019, I was an avid fan of SD Animator, to the extent that my 14-year-old self aspired to be featured in one of his animations, like what usually kids want. So I reached out to him, and eventually we became close friends. He gave me permission to re-upload his animations with subtitles in it, so his audience are able to understand what the story is about. Because of this, it significantly boosted my channel subscriber count.
However, we would soon find out what exactly was wrong with this relationship and the many victims of SD Animator.
However, the situation took a turn for the worse. In 2020, I made a Discord community for his channel, facilitating communication among his fans and so that he can pick casts for his animations easily. That year, let's say it did well. It did pretty well. In 2021, at the age of 16, this was where things went badly, and I wasn't aware of it. He started sharing private videos featuring his Roblox characters in various scenarios. Let's say 18 plus kind of contests or a video. I admit that I found this intriguing at the time, that I recognize now that my lack of proper education contributed to misunderstanding of the situation. One time, he sent me a private video featuring my character, which is the Fireboy, as some of you may know, and his character in a compromising context. You already know what this is.
SD Animator had been allegedly sending NSFW animations to this victim, inappropriate 18 plus Roblox content that he shouldn't have been sending to this person, let alone making.
However, in 2024, I decided to rebrand my channel from Glimph to Nick Extras, which you know now. I was fully aware of my past and the trauma associated with the name Glimph, so that I wanted to start fresh and new. I told SD that I had rebranded my channel and was looking to explore new content ideas. He then asked me if he could use my avatar for his animations, and I agreed. But I made it clear that it couldn't be used for NSFW content. Unfortunately, he went ahead and my character, which really upset me. When I asked him to take it down, he insisted that it was just between the two of us. I felt powerless since he wouldn't listen.
Not only was SD Animator posting this disgusting NSFW content when he was told specifically not to involve Nick Extras, but he would also refuse to delete it. However, soon enough, we would find out exactly how horrible SD was, and still is.
To my dismay, he used my character again, which I suspect was part of his quote-unquote work. On top of that, he was homophobic when I mentioned my girlfriend, despite knowing I was lesbian for years. I reached my limit, and I decided to cut ties with him. But the story doesn't end here. After we lost our connections, I found out he was dating an old friend of mine named Kat, who was 17, while SD is around 27 to 28 years old. My instincts told me to expose him for his behavior towards me, and I wouldn't have considered it if it was just my experience. But I soon discovered there were more victims.
Nick Extras not only had to put up with this disgusting behavior from SD Animator, but there was allegedly a list of victims that soon enough we would find out was long, with one of the victims being as young as 13 years old.
Suzy is a good friend of mine. I recently asked her about her experiences with him. SD created a full video featuring Suzy's character, and at the time, she was only 14. She thought it was cool when he asked for permission to use her avatar, but he was fully aware of her age. He continued making those videos until Suzy eventually stopped talking to him.
SD Animator had made NSFW animations of a 13-year-old's Roblox character at his big age of 28. But just when you thought it was over, there is much more. Meet the next victim, Cody, who was 16 years old at the time when they were talking to SD.
Cody is another good friend of mine, and I was shocked to find out she was a victim too. In 2023, things took a turn that I'm struggling to describe. The situation was somewhat similar to Suzy's, as he asked for permission and Cody agreed. They had a lengthy conversation, and at the time, Cody was okay with it. She actually ended up liking the works. But Cody now realized what she had done. Yes, Cody made a poor choice. SD was fully aware that Cody was a minor. Cody at this time was still 17 years old. SD even reached out to Cody via DM, saying he would stop sending NSFW content because he didn't want Cody to feel uncomfortable. To me, that feels like a manipulation tactic. You can't be sure if he was sincere, but if he truly cared, he wouldn't have done it in the first place. Eventually, they stopped communicating.
This was the third recorded instance that we had of SD Animator making NSFW animations of minors on Roblox. And even if they allowed him to do so, it is still illegal and extremely immoral and wrong. This is 1,000 times worse than what Cam Geyser did, who was recently exposed by Guamgo and Parlo, that I also have a video exposing his horrific actions of posting R34 content to YouTube. Anyway, SD Animator hasn't even been talked about yet and is currently getting away with what he did. But it wasn't over, not at all. There was another victim. This time they were of age, being 18 at the time, but it still shows us a pattern of SD's behavior, with the victims not wanting to be involved with NSFW animations and SD going ahead and doing it anyway.
Victim number 4. This person does not want me to reveal her name. Let's just call her Barry. Barry was also a close friend of mine and SD's. She used to be a part of our group. The group is now unavailable due to everyone having their own career and paths in life. Back in 2022, SD then created a version of her model. After I DM'd her, this is what she responded. My memory is a little hazy as we haven't been in contact for almost 2 years, but I do remember this moment very well, and I still have screenshots from the time. There was a time when he sent a photo of my character's model, which he made changes to. He'd either used or created model, giving it a large chest and other accentuated features. In the photo he sent, it was stripped of the clothes I had it wear and given all lingerie. Essie and I had only on and off conversations with large gaps in time. I don't see why he did this, especially without asking me, and I can't help but wonder what else he'd use that model for. At the time, I didn't care as much and went on with my day. But looking back at the whole thing, it was extremely inappropriate, especially since he sent me the photo a month after I turned 18, when we've known each other for years. I haven't been engaged in his community for a long time, but when I was younger, it had been so much fun being included in animations. I didn't even think about the position it put him in, and the fact that more people had to deal with this behavior is disgusting. We had a short conversation after this, and after finding out that there were more victims, she said, "I'm just concerned for the other victims as well. It's likely they're younger," which in fact is true. I never thought he'd do stuff like this, and honestly, this hasn't been in my mind until today. I should have mentioned something sooner.
But even if we take one quick look at SD's content, we can see he has made multiple videos on condo games, despite them having a very inappropriate and 18+ theme. And let me remind you, this is made for his audience of very young and impressionable kids. He would even feature a very disgusting and 18+ item in another video, featuring this Roblox guest 666 character. But this isn't just it. He would also show multiple very suggestive fan arts in the backgrounds of his animations, just like this one.
And here are some of the quote-unquote works he created involving Mo. I'm gonna censor most of this stuff because YouTube will probably take it down if I don't.
The guy is a gooning demon, with over 30 instances of him making NSFW animations or art with characters that were far too young, and a list of victims that were testifying against him. It wouldn't be long before we started to question if SD would ever respond and take any accountability for his actions. This takes us to Nick Extra's Part 2, exposing SD Animator. It was titled, "He Responded," but was this response even sincere, and would it even pass for the disgusting things that SD Animator had done?
SD responded by saying that I finished watching too. That was amazing. Okay, thank you for the compliment on my videos. Yes. And then someone asked, so what's your response to Nick's video? SD replied, if you fight back, a backstabber. That just means you took their attention. I do nothing and continue my path, so basically he's avoiding the allegations.
And unsurprisingly to anybody who has watched my channel, you can probably guess where this is going. SD Animator has stated that he will go down the route of ignoring everything, which is the exact same thing that PGHL Films did, Podima did, and even Cam Geyser, ignoring the allegations and giving a terrible response in order to get away with their actions and still make money off the platform, getting away with everything because they aren't properly held accountable. Which reminds me, please spread awareness to this video, message anyone you know that could bring light to this situation, because I was genuinely so surprised because of how bad all of this is and the fact that nobody has talked about it yet. SD and his girlfriend would eventually respond with a statement in a Google document. However, to nobody's surprise, it was very insincere and was written by his girlfriend, so SD didn't even take accountability directly or respond to anything himself. He just got his girlfriend, who was already defending him behind the scenes before all of this got exposed, to try and cover everything up for him so he could do the same thing as all these other horrific Roblox animators do. Also, the girlfriend tried to take down the initial exposed video, however failed to do so, claiming that you can't get exposed because you didn't get permission to speak about it. Like, how dumb can you honestly be to say that? It just tells us everything me and the viewers need to know about you and your disgusting boyfriend. Another victim would come out yesterday and make a video about the situation and their personal experience with all of this. So go check that out after this to stay up to date. This is a developing story, so I'll update you guys the more that is exposed and the horrible responses of SD Animator and his girlfriend, if they even talk about this again. I would also get a statement directly from Nick Extras about what she went through and witnessed from SD Animator. She would say this.
Okay, I'm gonna start. So, how did this personally affected me and how I genuinely feel about this? Honestly, this affected me so much mentally. I just can't believe I used to vibe with him while he was doing those nasty work, you know? I do know that he was making an adult content at that time, but I was unaware that it was this bad. Growing up now that I'm 20, it just sucks, you know? While doing my investigations, finding out about more victims, and it turns out they were your friend the whole time, it's just super depressing. What I feel about this is just pure disgust towards him. I feel sad, angry, disgust. There are so many emotions in me right now that I can't even describe. Yeah, that's all I can say so far. Bye.
This situation is Considering that nobody has talked about it and the amount of victims there is, and the lack of proper accountability from SD, it's bad. Please, like I said before, spread awareness to this video, comment for engagement and help bring attention to this video. Share it to other YouTubers, share it to your friends. SD Animator needs to be stopped. But as always, if you're new to the channel and you enjoy content like this, please make sure to subscribe, and if you want to watch something similar to this, click the video on screen now.